and welcome to the show. Welcome to our season 8, episode 2 with Cathleen Beerkens. And we're going to bring her in. We're going to be talking about quantum health. So let's bring her in and let's go with what we can find. And let's keep our minds open and our hearts listening. Hi, Kathleen. How are you doing?
Great. Hi, Nick. It's so
All right.
lovely to be here with you.
Very good. Very good. So we have, with what you've done, you've brought a book out to the public that is organized around quantum health. Is that correct?
Yes, I can show it to you. Here it is. Your Creator Matrix.
Okay. Your creator matrix. So what I get off of that is that, of course, like it's the person is designing their own matrix, their own ideas in the world that forms the world that they're in, and that it's for us to investigate and learn our way through that matrix to either overpower it or control it. Does that sound kind of like what you're doing?
It does. I make it a little bit more tangible for the audience because it's like Matrix has kind of gotten like from the movie. This is a bad rap, right? It's like, oh, we're in this Matrix. Oh no.
Yeah.
The Matrix is, we have been in a Matrix. It has been an old system, top-down authority structures that don't serve us anymore, you could say. And you can see everything falling down around us, right? So it's really a time of change. And what I would say is we need a period of acclimation, of understanding some new changes that we're going into now before we can create the new systems. And one of them is to understand who we are. So we have to really go back to like, okay, if this old system doesn't serve us, there's a reason. And I've changed. Something in me has changed. And what is me? So that question I address in the book. So the quantum world is really who we are. We're not linear. We never were, but it was sort of an illusion that we were just physical beings. We believed that we were just here, many of us, that we just had this one life. We did the best we could, and then we died and, went to heaven or whatever we thought. And actually, we're starting to understand that might just not be our reality. And I love Albert Einstein when he says, question everything. And I think that's pretty much what's happening right now. So your creator matrix contains your physical body, your emotional body, your mental processes, and your emotions that you have. So can you imagine we're co-creating our reality with all the people in our life, and we each have our own little matrix that we can actually move forward. It's an energy field. And so I speak about that in terms of science, actually.
Mm-hmm. Now, would you say that it has some basis in the electromagnetic spectrum?
Yes.
Is it tangible in that regard where we can kind of see ourselves as this energetic source that is bumping into other energetic sources and attaching itself to other things and creating this web, this matrix of electromagnetic strands, or whatever you'd like to call it, that are part of our attention and part of our manifestation is here. And it gets very ethereal really quick, doesn't it? Where somebody is trying to grasp it.
Yeah.
What exactly am I looking at? How do I experience it? Do you go into practical approaches for somebody to access these tangible, is there a tangible approach for people to access these webs of electromagnetic energy?
Absolutely, because I go through my process of healing, which was so I was a nurse. I saw the reality of the world we're in, and it wasn't really easy, actually. I was so young. I saw so much suffering from all ages and really on all levels. So mental suffering too, and emotional suffering, and really wounds and traumas and physical illnesses like cancer and all kinds of things I witnessed. The thing is, it was good that I had that because it woke me up, and I thought to myself, I can't believe we live in this world. This world something seems off. It doesn't seem like the world that could be.
Right.
a world that I could imagine. I actually thought I could imagine a different world than
Mm,
all this pain and suffering. So it was my motivation to ask questions and keep studying. But you ask a very big question like, do we have an electromagnetic field? Yes, we do. We are electric, we are magnetic. We have the biggest electromagnetic field in our heart, actually, around our heart. And our heart connects us to a universal knowingness, a field of energy. Well, we are connected in many chakras, of course. And like I went on to help people heal on all levels of body, mind, and spirit, also through energy. So you say etheric. You could ask, did I ever help someone heal by them raising their energy field and they healed things that we cannot believe that could be healed? Yes, I would answer. Did I also see people heal physical wounds through physical ways and channels? Yes. Did I also see people heal emotionally? Yes. So I started to realize that we could get blockages on all of those levels,
mhm,
and that most of us are challenged right now severely with a lot of lifetimes because we can carry 14 generations back. Like if you go back in your ancestry, and I talk about this in the book, you can actually carry these blockages on your DNA on all of those levels. So let's say, 7 lifetimes ago, you were robbed and raped and killed. Well, if you never came back and helped that energy heal, that could go on in the generations, you see.
mhm,
So that's just one example. But then there can be uh, all kinds of storylines. Let's say you were in another lifetime, you got you were like taken advantage of, and you were always a victim, and you were left, and nobody, your husband left you. And so you felt like a victim. This can also go on in the DNA, or you were a perpetrator and you were in a war. And, so we could go through all stories that we've been playing on Earth in what we call duality, opposition. I believe, and I can only say what I believe, and everyone else has to go. We all have to go in now and say what we believe. It's okay. We have belief systems. It doesn't mean they're real, but they're real for us. So
right.
my belief system is we've had this experience to help us in our evolutionary, um, like we're in an evolutionary world where we're growing towards something. I don't believe it's random, or it's just like, oh, we're just having these stories and there's no purpose.
Mm,
I always felt there was a higher purpose of really having an experience for the benefit of the souls that are involved in the story. So that's my belief. And was raised religious. And recently I was on a podcast and they were like, I don't know if it's true what you say because you didn't mention Jesus, or you didn't mention. And the thing is, I do have my own spiritual and religious beliefs, but I've questioned them because they weren't completely, I didn't really feel like certain ways that they were at that time were serving me. But that doesn't mean I don't believe in those things. I just believe maybe they to look at them in a new way. I guess I could say it like that for me. And what I always come down to and back to is that we're here to learn about love, to learn about connection, and how we can create and connect and build beautiful, wonderful things. But unfortunately, in the duality, we've also destroyed. So we've done both. We've created and destroyed, right? So with our fields and our knowledge and our whatever we were at. So I think, yeah, we are electromagnetic. We have an electromagnetic field. It goes through all aspects of our being, all parts of our creator matrix, and we right now, at this time on Earth, have to clean it up. We're asked to clear it up. We're asked to let go of things that we don't need anymore, like where we feel not good enough, or where we feel that we're, yeah, we're angry or guilty or shameful, or, a lot of emotional blockages right now must be cleared, and thoughts about it.
mhm. Do you find that so I see that for a lot of people that have a religious basis from where they're coming from, the foundation is maybe from the religion. that there is a sense that carries over even after a change. Do you find that modern religion is playing a role, or is modern religion creating a hindrance that we have to overcome?
This is a very philosophical question.
Yeah.
We're really over the coffee table now.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, let me get my
Yeah,
coffee right.
that's a good. I can speak from me. For me, I was raised Catholic. Many things I don't know. I've had really spiritual and etheric experiences, which shocked me and changed me. For instance, I talk in the book about like literally hearing. I was spoken to by Michael the Archangel. So I really was in shock, because
Mhm,
I wasn't expecting it. And I didn't really, I don't know if I didn't believe it, but I kind of thought those kind of things happen to other people. I
mhm,
wasn't expecting it. Let's put it that way. And
mhm,
I only had once that I had when I was very young and I had a traumatic thing and someone died in my life. I did have a dream where I thought Jesus was comforting me, sort of a comforting feeling. And it was a very loving feeling. I remember waking up from that dream like so happy. So I can only say that those are two experiences in the etheric that I've had that kind of shaped that I didn't know everything,
yeah,
that the religion that I was raised with might not be answering everything. But that doesn't mean it's not for other people. I don't think we're here to judge that. And
yeah,
I think we have to start listening to each other. Love is not judgment. It's really, really like I'm here with my heart. I'm really listening to you. What is serving you? That's what matters. If I'm going to be your coach or I'm going to help you heal, I'm certainly not going to put my belief systems on you. And I'm not here today. And that's not what my book's about, right? So
right.
my book is really about you sharing a personal story that happened to me and what I learned about healing and health and where I think we might be going, but that's just my thoughts.
Yeah. Well, and I hold that the future does look like Star Trek, that it
Yeah.
does look like a more unified world, that we all got to figure out how to get along. And I think that process comes through obviously a lot of change from where we're at now. It's an inevitability that we're going to go through some serious adjustments. I think part of that is also our relation to each other and to the world around us. And this begins to open us up to the idea that we need to get rid of the labels that we put on things, that we condemn people based on labels, or prop them up based on labels, that we kind of have to remove the labels and
Yeah,
experience each other without the extra tag on everything.
very good. I
Um,
agree.
to do that, we need to approach from the heart. We need to shed away the desire to limit, and we need to bring in a desire to expand. Uh, when you're doing your work, and when you're doing I imagine your meditation is part of your approach,
Absolutely.
guided or otherwise. When you're in that state, are you have had experiences with larger entities or powers that were of more
Well, I wasn't
magnanimous.
meditating when that happened. I
What was that?
I was not meditating when that happened.
No, no,
I was
but
at Disney World. Can you imagine?
oh, there you go. But you've had an experience of a grander
Yes.
energy
Yeah.
source,
Yeah.
and which for a lot of people, this drove people to become saints. This drove people to become gurus in other cultures. Um, so there has to be more to this matrix than just our energy. We have to assume that there will be bigger fish in the sea than ourselves.
Yeah.
As we can see on the planet, that there is an order that happens with energy and with consciousness. Are you finding in your work that you're working with other energies that maybe aren't manifest in what we would consider to be physical form?
Well, I like to look at it like we're connected to everything because I feel that. So we're one field, but we do have our own influence. So we have our own energy field that is kind of superimposed on another field, a larger field that we're all a part of. And when I started to realize that everybody was a part of that same field, I was like, oh my, I remember going around, my heart was growing every day.
Mm,
I was sort of in this state. It was like just heaven. I was just like, oh, I have compassion for you. I have compassion for you. I have compassion for your story. I don't know. I started just every wall that I had put up just started breaking down, realizing that we can put all those walls up, but in the end, we're all connected. So did I work with specific entities? No, I worked with source and I did channel this book at the beginning through Thomas Aquinas, which is really strange because
mhm,
I didn't ever know Thomas Aquinas. And I was thinking, what the heck is this? Because I was taught about Thomas Aquinas that he was, yeah, from, only about dogma, brought, I don't know, when you read
right.
about him. But when Michael spoke to me at that time, it's kind of crazy. He said, look up Thomas and Michael. And I was just like, what the heck? This is like a puzzle. Okay, I have to figure this out. So I started doing research right there in Disney World. And it turns out that Thomas Aquinas was called the angelic doctor.
Mm,
He was the first person at that time. And at that time, the energy on Earth was really dense. So I think it was probably really hard for him to connect to all these ideas that were more etheric or whatever, on
yeah,
these other levels. So he was talking about the angelic levels and what that was and how that could influence humanity. But he also was talking about the dogma, but I only heard about that. So when I looked us up, Thomas, what Michael said is you've been woken up in the middle of the night all the time, and that's true. So at 3 a.m. for an entire year, I was woken up, and I would get ideas, and I didn't know where they were coming from. I would just write them down. I would just say, "Oh," and then I realized that Thomas Aquinas had done a lot of metaphysical work,
mhm,
but I
right.
didn't know that. So it was not something I knew of. Teilhard de Chardin doing a lot of that, but I didn't know of this other person doing that. So I was kind of shocked, but in the end, I wasn't surprised. I was like,
Right.
okay, so I must have been getting information from a field through this entity. I don't know. And I wrote it all down. If I realized one thing, if I didn't write it down, I wouldn't have gotten that connection. So in
Right.
other words, it wasn't about information. It wasn't memorizing. It was about understanding. It was about getting connections.
Access. Yeah.
That's different.
Right. Well, and it dragged it into your conscious world. What I find a lot with doing dream work is it is essential that you wake up and jot it down because you can bring the energy in. And if you want to levitate, you're going to have to start doing it somewhere, and the holodeck is the place that you start doing it. So you need to drag that energy into the conscious world, this waking
Yeah.
state, and bring that reality into here. One of the best ways to do that is to have some interruption in your sleep, so that you can actually basically be in the tendrils of that state and be awake. To be able to write it down is very important, I think, too, because that'll allow you to access it later and keep that experience alive. You know, you have these experiences, but what does that mean here and now? For your mind, that is a very formative and very real place where things are really happening, and you're learning things likely from other actors within the space of dreams. So you were basically, before you even knew it, you were kind of being indoctrinated into, or initiated into, this new approach to living, and an approach to maybe healing too. Is that correct?
I have to tell you. So it's kind of funny, the story. I tell it in the book because I was raised in a very Western medical family, all doctors. My
Yeah.
grandfather was a doctor,
Mm.
very, very intelligent man. My father was a PhD on the other side in chemistry. I mean, we were like all science geeks, I guess you could say. But I started seeing that medical world just wasn't serving me. I was just like very disappointed. My son was very ill. I
Mm.
was not getting answers. It was right away. He was sick, very sick.
Yeah.
So I thought, okay, I'm going to this doctor. I think I went, and there's nothing against John Hopkins, but I must have gone there a ton of times, and he was just getting sicker. So my questions got bigger. And
Mhm.
so I learned a lot through my children. I go over that in the book. But in the process, I had a sister-in-law, and she one day said to me, I have a birthday present for you. And she's kind of a connector type. And I said, what is this? I always have a little like wondering, what is she going to invite me to now? Because they're wild. And she said,
Mhm.
I'm inviting you to learn how to heal with your hands. And I remember rolling my eyes. I
Yeah.
literally, no, I was like, are you crazy? I'm not going to that. No, forget that. And then she said, well, come on. It's already paid for. I want you to. So I went. But then the funniest thing happened. So I started feeling these energies in my hand so strongly.
Mm.
She felt nothing.
Mm.
And I
Yeah.
was like, okay, now how can this be? How can I feel this and you can't? But now I understand that we all have different gifts. So
Right.
some of us have kind of in other lives or other places built these gifts up, but we don't remember them all. So it was like a awakening. And this is a long time ago. I mean, I learned this along. So I
Yeah.
was so what I had been doing for years is doing this energy healing, but it wasn't Reiki. It was really beyond that. It was something new. They call it reconnective healing. And
Mm.
I was doing this healing, and I people were just healing, and they were
Mm.
coming all the time. And I was like, oh my gosh. And my husband got
Mm.
freaked out because we were bringing people in our house, and he didn't really like that. So
Yeah.
he ended up saying, you have to build something outside of this house because I cannot take this. But it was kind of funny, those stories. But the point is
Yeah.
that I was doing this healing energetically, then I was doing this healing physically, then I was doing emotional. So I kept just out of my curiosity getting like going to learning, studying every day. I would just study. I like am a closet researcher. So I was just like,
Mm.
oh, what's that? Quantum this. Oh, what's that? Oh, this new time on earth. What's that? I was just asking myself questions and
Mhm.
doing these things. Now, if you ask me, is it only energy healing? No, because we have a physical body that has needs. Is it only physical healing? No, that's the medical world. Sometimes you do need physical things like Western medicine, but you don't need them maybe how we've been using them. We
Right.
need to look at that. So, but it's all of those factors. And I talk about that in the book.
Hmm. Now, when somebody reads the book, what is your desired outcome for them? And is this something where they could reach out to you for assistance, for a course, or for work? Do you have yourself a process for people to get in touch with you so that they can uh, come to you with something and you can help them along in that? Are you doing a healing now? What is your current setup?
That's a good question. So, I was called to stop I do healing sometimes, I really do, but I was kind of like well, my connection with Source called at a certain point through Michael and all these things to pioneer, to put a new organization on the planet that would be training health and wellness coaches holistically so
Hmm.
that they could go and be a big part of the change that's happening in the medical system. So this was my first initial work I had to do. And so our coaches are trained with the national board and ICF a very high level. And now they're starting to go into IC, my coaches, they're going into working with really incredible doctors, really working to bring these to really help the clients and the patients heal. So that's so wonderful. That just gives me so much joy. So my work is to really teach and to help, but I'm going to start a course next year on self healing because I've learned so much about this creator matrix. And I feel that if in the end, I don't think we're supposed to heal other people like we used to. I think that was necessary and it will still be necessary for some people. But I believe that ultimately we could self heal. And
Hmm.
so my goal is to help people to give them the tools to do that. And they could do it every day. It's like a check-in on all those parts of their creator matrix and and that's what I want to do ultimately for humanity.
Okay. And so if somebody reads the book, there's information in there for them to contact you
Yes. So
to learn more, so to speak.
my
Hmm.
organization is a wellness revolution. I was kind
Okay.
of like guided. And then in the book, yes, they can. I hope that they are more hopeful, because right now in the world, it's hard. You could really become overwhelmed and not
Yeah.
hope. And that's my only goal. And I'm not here to do it alone. I know
Right.
that I call them light workers, or people who are kind of ascending right now to help humanity. There's many people, not just me. I would never think it's just me. I'm just one part, and you're one part, Nick, and we're all doing it together, right? To try to help at this time.
Yeah. Yeah. And there seems to be a lot of that. I dwell on whether or not we're in a time where there's just more people. So there's just more people doing everything. And that we're seeing more people doing amazing things. But there's also this whole other realm that exists where people aren't doing the work. They're not working on themselves in a better way. And I feel like that is where we really need to figure out what's happening there. To me, it starts with our basics as an animal, and then if we can if we can raise those bars to where they're not something that somebody has to fight over,
Yeah.
like any animal. If you have to fight over food, you're going to have a barking match and who knows what else, right? If we can remove the hurdles to food, for an example, we can really change dynamically the way people are treating themselves and treating others. So for me, I see it as like their first approach is ourself, and then our relations outside of ourself, and hopefully that spreads. And it sounds like that's what you're
Have
doing
our
too,
role,
which
right?
is
We each have our role. Like
yeah,
I have met so many light workers, and people who are bringing the higher mission, like they're way beyond survival. They know we're here to thrive. They
right.
know we're here to become the best versions of ourselves. They know we're here. So they might have a mission to go and change the food, like really work with, and they are, I see it. They're starting new kind of different kinds of ways to plant, to maximize
Hmm.
more organic, more. So that's cool what's happening there. I think it's awesome. So there's people with that mission. That's not my mission. I support all those people, but we have to all know why we're here, because we're all unique. Just
Yeah,
like my friend who took me to learn the healing didn't have those abilities, so she's meant to do something else.
right.
We are all meant to do different things. That's what I think.
Yeah, and we would find that out by doing more investigation into ourselves and realizing our powers, our deficits, and what we feel comfortable at as a role, as a here's where I belong kind of thing, and this feels good. Yeah,
Yeah.
very good, very good. Now, you have a website,
Yeah. So a wellnessrevolution.com.
a wellnessrevolution.com,
Yep.
and when somebody goes there, they will be able to find your information and buy the book and everything like that.
Absolutely. And I'm on Amazon.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Yeah.
Everywhere, right? Everywhere that books are sold, as I
I
said.
know it's crazy what kind of world we live in right now, but yes.
Yeah, yeah. All right, awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining me today, and really great to hear your message. It sounds like it's one of unity and spreading the message of unity, which is so important, I feel like, these days, is
Yeah,
to find our similarities, not our differences,
absolutely.
and empowerment, of course. So I really appreciate that. You bringing that message out to the world, and I wish you well.
Oh, thank you, Nick. It was lovely to meet you. I appreciate it.
Yep, take care.
Yeah, thank
All
you.
right. Yep, bye.